the show where there are no penalties, nothing is offside, and everything is fair game. This is The Gloves Are Off.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
I guess so. All right, welcome to the set of The Gloves Are Off. I'm Jack Haskins. I'm your host today, filling in for Carly Agro, who's on vacation. With me, our co-host, Brian Curran.
Good to be here. Hey, you know, Carlito and Strecker on a big vacation.
Yeah.
I hope they're keeping a journal of that, because that is just going to be too funny watching those two come back from their trip. But great to be here.
Well, I'm sure we'll hear all about it when they come back, maybe too much so. And our guest today, we're very proud to have Craig Blythe, a wide receiver for the Lloydminster Vandals. Glad to have you.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Jack. I was looking forward to working with Carly. Good-looking girl, but you're equally as handsome. So.
Hey, I'm sorry to disappoint you right away.
I gotta have a drink on that one.
Yeah.
Everybody, this is just water.
Allegedly. All right. So, Dump and Change is our first segment. So, I bring up a topic. If you like it, we'll talk about it. If not, you can drop it. You can only do it once, and I don't encourage it. But okay. We'll start Blockbuster. Heatley and Havlat. That was just announced a couple days ago. What are your thoughts on the deal? Like, who won this trade?
To me, the Sharks got a great deal in Havlat because he's got the speed, he's got that breakaway ability that they need, and his cap was $2.5 million less. So the Minnesota got a great deal as well. Heatley can shoot, and that's what they've been missing. They've got those passers and the puck movers, but they needed someone to get those shots on goal that they'd been lacking. So Heatley brings that to their team, but definitely I think it was better to get Havlat for that cheaper amount.
Well, I agree. I think Havlik is, you know, they dropped the number. The salary was definitely a number that they had to get rid of. That was the big key to it. I'm not a fan of Heatley's too much, to be honest. I admire his pure. I just think there's something there about him that people want to get rid of him.
Yeah, not a team player.
I don't know. I mean, you know, he's a guy that could be the greatest guy in the world. But I think he seems to cause a lot of aggravation wherever he goes. He's going to go to Minnesota, so it's a great deal for Minnesota because they don't have the scoring. I just think he's kind of like San Jose. He's like that guy. He likes that nice weather.
Yeah.
You know, is he going to like it when it's 40 below in Minnesota? I don't know, but I think you know, I think it's a good deal for both. I think the salary makes it a better deal for San Jose.
It'll be interesting to see what happens there and see if he asks for a trade by the end of the year. But we'll see. Moving on, Brad Richards, he got a huge contract with the Rangers. Now, is he the answer for this team they've been looking to be competitive for a while, and that's a pretty big signing. So.
Well, it's a big tag on his name, being somebody who played in New York. I know that the fans will, you know, you've got to get yourself in with them right away. He's got to perform. This is all about John Tortorella. John coached him before. Richards is a premier player. He's a player that can do it. That's a different atmosphere. New York, Toronto, Montreal, those are your three big teams that the press can eat you alive.
Yeah.
It's got to perform.
I've seen time and time again where these big players go down to these teams. They take these huge contracts, and then sometimes they perform, sometimes they don't. But I don't think these big players are the answer. I think that it's the core group of guys. He will be a great attribute for the team, a great player for them.
Yeah, he's not going to push them over, but he is definitely, you have to have your premier players. And the Rangers have been buying players for years and years, and nobody's really done what they need him to do.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, Richards, they've signed big players like him before, but, like, they're, you know.
He's one of the better ones they've ever done, though. It's up to him, and Tortorella seems to get the best out of him, so it could be a great deal for him. But you need, like, you know, when I know for firsthand experience, if you don't have scoring, you can't buy it. I mean, you can't get enough goal scorers on your team. You know, you can't teach a guy that's a plumber how to score goals. So he's got the thing. Now he has to just go out and perform, and New York will love him.
Now, I want to stay on this topic a little bit longer because you kind of touched on it. Now, free agency, like, do you waste, like, as a GM, Brian Burke was in the running to sign Brad Richards, but, you know, he took the full first day, didn't sign him, and he didn't sign anyone else. So is it worth it to hold out for that big player, or do you lock down your role players when it comes to free agency?
Yeah, it changes sports a little bit. If you look at the Mavericks, they didn't win. They had some great players, but they didn't win because they got the Bosch, the LeBron, and Wade. They didn't win because of that. They got close, but it was the bench players for the Mavericks who took that. So in the same way in the NHL, it's that whole team effort. It's it's the core guys that you've got on your team that are going to lead you to a championship if they're clicking together.
And there's no question about that, but it's all about percentages too. If I was owning a team and you give me, if we go to basketball, you give me the Miami Heat top, the big three, you give me that, my percentages of winning in a 5-year plan, maybe with them, are pretty high. I'm going to take that.
Yeah.
I think when you look at Brian, and I know Brian from way, way, way back, and I have a lot of respect for him, he's got a plan going on. I don't know what it is right now because I don't see a huge improvements in Toronto right now. And their coaching staff changed, two assistant coaches out. I don't know if that was the real, I don't know if that's the answer. I think Wilson's a great coach, but on the same token, Richards I thought would be a great fit for Toronto, but I knew hands down he was going to the Rangers. So.
Perfect. Well, we'll move on now. Oil change. Oilers add Ben Eager, Darcy Hordichuk, and Andy Sutton. Is this a tougher team now? Like, you have to say, yes.
Great move. Great move. You can see the change in the Oilers. They've always been, they went on the era of the Gretzky era, where they had, if you look at that team, when they won all those cups, look at the balance they had through your team. Like you talk about core players, look at the support cast they had. They had speed, they had scoring, they had the greatest player in the world playing.
They had someone to protect him, too.
They had protection, McClellan, McSorley, Dave Semenko. They brought that around. Oilers going back, I think, maybe taking a good move here. Got a great young group, a core player starting to develop. Now they've had some toughness. If you watch the Stanley Cup Finals like most people did, should Boston have beaten Vancouver on talent alone? Not a chance.
Probably not.
They won on where in the areas where you don't want to go, on the boards, in front of the net. They won those battles and they won it. So, you know, the era's changed for the Oilers, and I think it's a great move.
Yeah, Curran and I are going to butt heads a little bit, and I hope I don't lose that battle. He's a pretty big dude. But
this is called The Gloves Are Off, so feel free to disagree.
I agree that you do need protection for some of your star players with that toughness. But the way the Oilers had been drafting and scouting, they've been getting that speed and that puck movement and those top players for the scoring. So I would have liked to see them continue on that trend because the game has changed over the years to such a fast pace.
But how's that working for them?
Yeah, that's true.
They
That's
haven't made the playoffs
yeah.
and all these guys they've added. So
yeah, I just think if they kept at it, that speed and that puck movement would.
5 years from now, maybe you might be right. Now, well, take a look at Boston. They're the greatest example.
They still got it done, and they had a very balanced lineup. And that brings me to my next point: tough guys. Now, Brian, I know you know a thing or two about tough guys, right?
Well, I went through this too.
Yeah, well, obviously.
No, but I went through arbitration on this issue alone. So it's you bring in tough guys. What's the value of a tough guy? You know, unbeknownst to everyone, in the eras and times that have changed, the offensive real studs and star players, they never recognized for a long period of time during the beginning of a season what is a tough guy, the value of one. A tough guy's got to be able to play today, though. It's not just fight. He's got to be able to play the game. Back in my era, sometimes you didn't have to be able to play that well. You just had to be that confidence for that team. Like I know when I stepped out on the ice, I know 4 other guys felt a lot more comfortable when I was on the ice when their tough guys were out there because they knew I would take care of it. So that gives them a lot of more confidence to move on. But with fighting diminishing out of the game, this tough guy is still a valuable player because he gives that confidence, and the intimidation factor will always be around on the game of hockey.
Of course, and you brought up a good point. Tough guys that can play. My 2 favorite hockey players of all time, Wendell Clark and Darcy Tucker.
You know he wanted to talk about him.
I did, I really did. Because
this is his spot in the show. He wanted to talk about him.
Well, I don't know. Like Tucker put up 50 points a couple times in his career. Clark could score as well. Like he was a point per game player for a little bit. How valuable are those players that can put up points and scare the other team?
You got about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
This is time to hurry you up.
Yeah, I agree that the priority for me, though, would be to get those playmakers. And if they have toughness as well, then that's an amazing attribute to have, but the priority should be that playmaking ability.
All right. So I think we'll move on to some football now. Or are we going to go to break? We're going to go to break.
We're going to break.
I took up too much time.
On the far side by our good guy, the camera guy.
We'll have more dump and change coming up after the commercial break. Stay with us.